Here I go, here I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Take. I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, and in today's episode, we've got an action-packed episode here for you guys. So the first thing I'm going to start off this episode with is Jayson Tatum.
You guys been on a lot of trips to Miami, a lot of hard-fought trips to Miami. Was this one a little sweeter, taking that trip down?
They always easy.
Really? Really? It's easy? Okay. So, in the last 4 playoff matchups with the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat are 2-2, my guy. So, pretty even. Literally even. Okay? And this season, the Miami Heat weren't even healthy. We didn't have Jimmy Butler and we didn't have Terry Rozier. So, Jayson Tatum, what you said is false. And you played an unhealthy Heat team. So what are you flexing this season? It was easy because we were injured this year. That's all you got to say? That's all you got to say. I can't do that. And next season, just be ready for Heat culture, dude. Just be ready for it. It's on the horizon. Heat culture is going to be back. We're not playing next year. We're not playing. Now, I know Jimmy Butler, all these trade talks are going around with this guy. I mean, he's still under contract for one more season, and then he's got a player option after that. So I don't see Jimmy Butler leaving. He's going to stay in Miami Heat his entire career. I get the exit interview stuff and whatever. I don't really care about that. That's not really something I am too worried about and overthinking about as well. Because Pat Riley knows if the Miami Heat want to win a championship, Jimmy Butler has to be on that roster. Bam Adebayo has to be on that roster. Tyler Hero has to be on that roster. Even though he hasn't been healthy for, especially last year in our finals run, and he hasn't really proved much this season. I mean, he had one good game against the Celtics, but he struggled. And he was putting his name in the bracket of Luka Doncic and all these guys. He's not even close to that. So I think the Miami Heat are going to still be a good team in the Eastern Conference. I think they're a threat to Boston because we're the only team that's beaten Boston in the last 4 years. Let's keep it real here. The Bucks did it once, but the Heat have done it twice. And we made it to the finals twice in the last 4 years. Like, everyone forgets that. Everyone forgets that. Just remember, Heat culture's a thing. And I loved Udonis Haslem on First Take yesterday. He said it best. Stop the Heat hate. Stop. Just stop it. Please. There's no need to hate on this team. We're a good basketball team. We have the best coach in the NBA, Eric Spoelstra. We have a very good leader in Jimmy Butler. We also have Bam Adebayo, who's really coming into his own, could have won Defensive Player of the Year, and his offensive side of the game has been evolving. He's shooting from the three-point line. We all know his mid-range is deadly. He's got a bag in the post, okay? Like, Bam Adebayo is a legit guy. I feel like we are missing a third star per se, but if we would just get some role players this summer, maybe go get Klay Thompson. I think we could use some shooting. That wouldn't be a bad idea. We still have Duncan Robinson. He's gotten better on the defensive end of the floor. So the Miami Heat are going to be a threat to the Boston Celtics. But I just hate that Jayson Tatum said we're always easy. That's not the thing. It's not it. Okay? Jayson Tatum, I'm not done with you, but for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to move on because we are going to talk about the Celtics later on in this podcast. But before we get into anything else, let's get into today's picks, brought to you by Hard Rock Bets, the only betting app in the state of Florida you can actually bet with. It's still crazy. At least you can bet in Florida. You can bet player props, spreads, money lines, anything you can think of. Hard Rock Bets has it. Download it now for free. Now, here's JB's picks. JB's pick of the day is minus 105 for the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup, to win Game 7. They're going to become the second team in NHL history to come back down 0-3 in a Stanley Cup final. And it's all going to be because of Connor McDavid. He's going to win the Conn Smythe Award either way. Either if they win or lose, he's going to win it. He's literally the first player in NHL history to have 4-point games back to back in a Stanley Cup final. That's never happened. And he's also in the top 5 for most points in a single postseason. He passed Wayne Gretzky's record in 1992 and 93 with 40, and he has 42 points this entire postseason. That is actually insane. Like, I'm going to ride the hot hand, seriously. Like, the Oilers could become the 5th team out of 211 NHL teams to come back down 0-3 in any playoff series. And the Panthers, man, they have had no answers for the Edmonton Oilers these last 3 games. The Panthers have been outscored 18-5 in the last 3 games. That is, that's insane, dude. That is actually insane. McDavid has been on an historic pace. He's playing like an all-time great right now. He's playing like an all-time great. Like, this guy is sensational, and I'm riding the Edmonton Oilers to win the Cup. That's my pick of the day right there. Now, we've got something NBA-related coming up here. What does the new NBA TV deal worth $76 billion mean? It's not finalized yet, but it's going to happen. Adam Silver, he's tripling the NBA's TV deal. The previous one, he just crushed it with this one, okay? The National Basketball Association is closing in on a media rights deal with Comcast-owned NBC, Disney's ESPN, and Amazon.com that would generate $76 billion in media revenue over 11 years. The Wall Street Journal reported on Wednesday. Rights to widely watched professional basketball league are prized possession for media companies. Sports content continues to attract a reliable and loyal audience at a time when traditional TV businesses are losing millions of subscribers to cord cutting. Disney, Amazon, Warner Bros., Discovery, and Comcast are reportedly circling to get a piece of the brand. I've heard Warner Bros. Is struggling with this, and TNT, they're losing the NBA, which is literally 80% of TNT's annual advertising revenue. That's a huge deal. And we already heard Charles Barkley, he announced his retirement.
I have made the decision myself, no matter what happens, next year is going to be my last year on television. And I just want to say thank you to my NBA family. You guys been great to me. My heart is full with joy and gratitude. He's
Done after this season with TNT and just TV in general. So I think that's a good move for Chuck, honestly. I think he's been with TNT for 25 years. He's been on television for a really long time. So I think it's a good way to go out. Obviously, no one wants the inside the TNT with Kenny, Ernie, or Shaq and Chuck to go away. That's the best basketball show, period. It's not even a discussion. But TNT, they're also trying to recover a little bit from this since they are losing 80% of their ad revenue. They got college football games from ESPN, but those games are only valued like $25 million each, so that's really going to still hurt their pockets. But TNT, where they made the mistake is when they came out and said, we don't need the NBA, which was the wrong call. So I think that steered Adam Silver the wrong way because he said he has a great relationship with a lot of those guys in that organization, within that organization. So I think it's good for the NBA, obviously, because they're going to be making more money. They're getting billions thrown at them. Like Adam Silver said it best, like they have a bunch of suitors that just want to have the NBA. And especially with the streaming and AI stuff coming in, like cable TV is not going to be a thing. Like TNT charges money for like a cable company to have their channel on their service. With streaming, it's not really like that. Streaming, it's independent. You can do pretty much whatever you want. Netflix is getting in on this. Like it's changing everything. And AI specifically, it's going to change just betting and everything in general. Like with the new Apple VR headset, I'll tell you, that's changing the game right there. Like at some point, you're going to be able to watch a game with the headset on and be in the middle of the stadium or the field or octagon or whatever. And then before the first pitch, you're going to be able to make a bet live, and it says, select here, strike ball, whatever. What do you think is going to happen in this pitch? And you can win this X amount of money. So it's going in that direction. And I also heard that Warner is just, they're in a lot of trouble right now. They're in a lot of trouble right now. Warner Bros. Stock has went down 70% in 2 years. And they tried to get the NBA to be streamed on HBO Max, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be worth it for them to do it. And it's unfortunate because I love the crew that they got going on in Turner Sports, but they're just not going to be able to keep it. They're not going to be able to outbid these streaming companies that have trillions. I mean, Amazon is is worth so much money. They have more money to throw around than TNT. It's just, that's how it is. Like, they're just getting outbidded right now. And the NBC they've covered the NBA Finals. They've done it before. So it'll be cool to kind of see them back into it. I think Shaq and Kenny will probably maneuver their way over there. I don't think Ernie Johnson will because his father worked at Turner Sports. So he's probably going to stay, and he does baseball and other sports like that. So this new NBA TV deal means a lot of things. It means the NBA is going to be making a lot of money, but it also means you're going to be losing an iconic show inside the NBA. So that deal is a big deal, but also another thing that's a big deal is J.J. Redick is the new Lakers head coach. Redick goes from being a podcast host on Mind the Game to being LeBron's coach. Oh my gosh, J.J. Redick has had no coaching experience whatsoever, so that'll be interesting to see how long his job lasts because we all know the Lakers, they have unreasonable expectations to win the finals and win a championship and get a 40-year-old LeBron James and also still trying to straddle that line of, is AD bought in or not? And then you got J.J. Redick, who's a new head coach. He's the same age as LeBron. It's just... it's a disaster in LA because one, they tried to get another head coach before that in Dan Hurley, and then they get JJ Redick, which by the way, I knew that was going to happen. I called it about 2 weeks ago. I've been saying it for a little bit. I think everybody's been saying it for a while now that JJ Redick's going to be the new head coach. And there's no doubt that he knows basketball. He knows the X's and O's. Like if you watch the Mind the Game podcast with LeBron James, he knows basketball. I just think LeBron's going to be the coach, not J.J. Redick. You know, it's crazy to me because the Lakers, since Frank Vogel, it's just, and Frank Vogel won a championship, and then you fire him. Like that's what I don't get. And that's with every team in the NBA for me. Every team in the NBA or sports in general use head coaches as a scapegoat. If your team doesn't perform up to the standard that they expected, okay, it's the coach's fault. How is it the coach's fault? Like I don't get that. Because the coaches are not on the floor. They can't make the baskets. Like that's what I've always said. I hope J.J. Redick does well with the Lakers. They haven't had a 50-win season since 2020. They finished 47-35, 7th in the Western Conference last year. But I think J.J. Redick's being set up to fail. I don't see him making it 2 seasons with the Lakers. I don't see it. He signed a 4-year contract. I don't see him making it halfway. Barely halfway. I'd be surprised if he made it 2 full seasons with the Lakers. I would be. But the Lakers, they still got a lot of decisions ahead of them. LeBron James, he's scheduled to opt out of his player option, become a free agent, and his son Bronny, that's still circling around. I think LeBron's going to remain a Laker, but I keep hearing Mavericks, which I don't think LeBron James is going to the Mavericks because, one, they already have Luka Doncic, who's a very ball-dominant player. When it comes to facilitating, him and LeBron James do the exact same things when it comes to facilitating the basketball. I don't think that would work. That would just hurt the Mavericks and be toxic. Put him with Kyrie Irving again, I don't think that would really work out. I don't think that would work out. And the Mavericks would have to sacrifice some key role players to be able to pay LeBron James, one. So that's a conversation. I don't think he's going to go to the Mavericks. It's not intriguing to me either. I just don't think the Mavericks are going to improve by getting LeBron James because they're going to lose pieces. And LeBron's expensive, so I don't see him going anywhere. I think he's going to end up being on the Lakers. People are always throwing down the Warriors and Steph Curry. I mean, that would be interesting. Steph and LeBron on the same team. Oh, my God. That'd be unfair. That'd be unfair, first of all. It would be. I would not want to see that, personally. I don't want to see LeBron James get a 5th ring. Period. Period. I don't want to see it. But let's move on to Shot of the Week. Let's get into this. And again, Peyton Pritchard, back-to-back weeks, wins Shot of the Week. He hit the longest final shot in 25 years from half court at the buzzer going into halftime of Game 5. Now remember, in the 2022 NBA Finals, Jordan Poole hit a similar shot on Pritchard at the buzzer. So Pritchard getting a little bit of revenge, even though Jordan Poole wasn't in the finals. But he finished with 3 points in 1 minute of play. So and that was his second buzzer beater of the finals. So congratulations, Peyton Pritchard. You are back-to-back Shot of the Week champion. I don't know if we're ever going to have that in this year on the Take podcast. It's going to be hard to beat that Shot of the Week, honestly. That's going to be hard. Back-to-back weeks, one person. But was Jayson Tatum robbed of Finals MVP? That's the question that's been going around this last week. And honestly, I think there's a compelling argument for both Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum to have won Finals MVP. Let's start with Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum is the only other Celtics player to have 24, 10, and 6 in a postseason. That's average that in a postseason, other than Paul Pierce and Larry Bird. Those two, Jayson Tatum becomes the third Celtic to average that kind of stat line in a single postseason since those two Celtics legends. So let's put that out there first of all. Tatum is the first Celtic to have 31, 11, and 8 in a finals since Larry Bird in 1986. He also had 3 double-doubles in the finals. And I'm Tatum's harshest critic. He did not shoot the ball well, but he was creating for his teammates. He was playing defense. Like, that's what you need. It helped the team, okay? And Tatum, he had 3 blocks, 5 steals, 111 points in this series, and he had 2 games with double-digit assists. Jaylen Brown did not. And Brown and Tatum, they had very similar stats. Like, Brown had 4 blocks this series, 8 steals, 104 points. So I think what's more impressive about Jaylen Brown is that he won Finals MVP as the second option on the team. I think that's why he got Finals MVP. But if you look at it, I think Jayson Tatum had a better stat line. I think obviously he had the easier defensive assignments, which makes the case for Jaylen Brown because he was guarding Luka Doncic the majority of the series. He was guarding Luka for Jaylen Brown guarded Luka Doncic 154 times, or 154 possessions in this series. It was the most guarded matchup for the Celtics this postseason. In that time, Jaylen Brown held Luka Doncic to 9 of 22 shooting, 44%, 21 points, 2 of 8 from the three-point line, 5 turnovers, 2 fouls. That is, I don't know what you call guarding Luka Doncic good, because it's hard to guard Luka Doncic. So, if you ask me, I think Jayson Tatum should have gotten Finals MVP, and I don't even like Jayson Tatum. I think he should have gotten Finals MVP, but I see why Jaylen Brown got it. But let's be honest, it's not like Jaylen Brown shot the ball better from three-point range than Jayson Tatum. Jaylen Brown shot 23%, 3 less than Tatum, and he shot 26, so that's not great. But if we want to get technical, people are saying Jaylen Brown was more efficient than Jayson Tatum, and that's not true at all. Jayson Tatum has a better playoff efficiency rating than Jaylen Brown in this playoffs. Jayson Tatum had a 20.1 efficiency rating. Jaylen Brown had a 19.1. Still very close. But Jayson Tatum, I think, edges him a little bit. And also, we look at defense as well. Defensive rebounds, I think, still count for something. I still think they count for something. And Jayson Tatum had more defensive rebounds than Jaylen Brown. Jayson Tatum had 35. Okay, so Jaylen Brown had 23 defensive rebounds. Jaylen Brown had more steals. He had one more block. So if anybody says Jaylen Brown was way more effective than Jayson Tatum on the defensive end, it's not really true. It's so slim. I feel like it's a coin toss. But since Tatum has more assists, more rebounds, and also a better three-point percentage and more points per game in the finals, I'll give Jayson Tatum the edge over Jaylen Brown. Even though Jaylen Brown was guarding Luka Doncic, which is the toughest matchup of the series. Jayson Tatum did not have that defensive task. That's one thing I will say that you can put in Jaylen Brown's argument. But I will say Jayson Tatum deserved Finals MVP, especially after 2 30-point games in the finals. I know he was a little more inconsistent when it came to points and showing up. I get that. I've been hating on Jayson Tatum for this. The inconsistency is there, but he shows up when he needs to. He's been getting his teammates involved. I like Jayson Tatum, and I was just shocked when Jaylen Brown won MVP. But does Jaylen Brown winning Finals MVP make that $285 million contract worth it? Does that justify that? I mean, I would say maybe. Maybe. He proved he could be the best player, quote unquote, in a final series, being the second option on a championship team. I don't think a lot of people expected Jaylen Brown to be able to do that. I think they honestly questioned his leadership. And I think Jaylen Brown's a better leader than Jayson Tatum, at least vocally for the Boston Celtics. So I would say you can make a case that he is worth $285 million, but he's still the 9th highest paid player in the league. Jayson Tatum is the 36th highest paid player in the league. And Jayson Tatum is the best player on the Celtics. So I don't know if it's hard to justify that. But since he won a Finals MVP, you can go, I can see why the Celtics paid him that. It's weird. It's a weird situation because Jaylen Brown exceeded expectations. But the one thing when it comes to Jaylen Brown, and why I don't think he should have won Finals MVP as well, he doesn't have a left hand. Jaylen Brown does not have a left hand. Still doesn't. So that's the one thing. You can literally shade an entire half of the court, and Jaylen Brown will not go left-handed. Jaylen Brown would rather go up in the air and try some crazy stuff than go up with his left hand. Simple. Simple. Even if he gets a screen to go to his left, he will take one dribble to the right and try to shoot a three. That's what Jaylen Brown does. I think Jaylen Brown needs to improve that left hand. You have to be, if you're an NBA player, you have to be able to drive with your left hand. You have to be able to do that. That's pretty basic stuff there. That's stuff you learn when you're in middle school, is learning to go with your left hand. But on the flip side, for the Mavericks, who do you blame the most for the Mavericks losing? Luka or Kyrie? I'm going to go Kyrie, man. Because Kyrie is a champion. He's been to the finals before. And he was a ghost town in the first 2 games. He showed up in game 3 and had 35, but it was a little too late. He had 21 in game 4. And then in game 5, he wasn't really showing up. He was struggling. And Drew Holiday was getting to him on defense. And you can tell Kyrie's not the same player he was when he was on Cleveland, where he had that quick in and out dribble, he could get by people. If you stay in front of Kyrie Irving, which Drew Holiday did, Kyrie Irving's going to have a hard time. And he had a very difficult time. And the Mavericks just did not have enough firepower. Those were their 2 guys that they were relying on, was Luka and Kyrie. To me, that's not enough. Now, I blame Kyrie the most because he's been to this place before and I expected him to play better. But, you can make an argument for Luka. Blaming just complaining to the refs the entire series, looking for fouls nonstop, not hustling back on defense, not being a good defender. His blow-by rate was 67.7% against the Celtics, which is the highest blow-by rate percentage in 10 years. 10. And that trickled all the way through the entire playoffs. Blow-by percentage for the Clippers, 65%. Blow-by percentage for the Thunder, 59%. Luka cannot play defense. I think he needs to get in better shape. He looks tired out there. He does not look ready to go play both sides of the ball for 48 minutes. Luka, you cannot just be an offensive weapon. That's one thing. You cannot just be an offensive guy. You got to be able to do something else. You got to be able to play defense. Defense wins championships. You can score a lot of points, but if you can't get any stops in the NBA Finals, you're toast. You're toast. And the thing is, in Game 3, Luka Doncic fouled out with 4 minutes left. In that situation, you just have to avoid the foul at all costs, because you know if you foul out, the Mavericks have no chance of winning this game, and they lost because of it. So I feel like the blame can be thrown around equally between Luka and Kyrie, and they do make up 60% of the Mavericks' payroll. So that's where the blame is going to get thrown. But I would tend to lean more towards Kyrie Irving, because I think a lot of people expected Kyrie to have a big series, possibly even better than Luka Doncic. And I think they needed him to have a better series than Luka Doncic for them to win this series. And Kyrie Irving just did not do it. He did not do it. But this is going to go ahead and do it for today's episode of the Take Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to give a like, comment, and also subscribe so you guys do not miss out on any more content. We're going to be cooking with the Olympics. Team USA is coming up this summer. Baseball, I'm going to be doing a couple things with baseball coming up as well. So make sure to stay tuned for all the content. And also NFL content as well is going to be coming up as the NBA season wraps up. And the off season for the NBA is also coming up as well. I'm sure we'll circle back around to other topics like Paul George, things like that. So make sure to stay tuned for more episodes coming up. But I'm Jackson Burleson, and this has been another episode of The Take.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my heart